Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Produce Buzzers podcast. We are so happy you have joined us today, and I think you will be too after the show is over, because you will learn a lot about fresh fruits and vegetables, how to select and store them, how to prepare and cook them, and surprising facts about their history and origin. We hope it inspires you to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, not only for your health, but also for your delight and pleasure as you explore their amazing world of taste and delicious flavors. Eating more of them will transform your life in so many positive ways. So settle back, relax, and get ready for another delicious adventure with the Produce Buzzers. 大家好，欢迎来到这 Produce Buzzers Polka. 新年快乐. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Produce Buzzers podcast and Happy New Year. I'm your host, Edwin Stepp, and executive editor of ProduceBuzz.com. I'm joined once again by Teresa Nolan, president and founder of Produce Buzz, and Rick Stepp and Cynthia Benedetto, both contributing editors to Produce Buzz. Now, why did I open the program by speaking to you in Chinese? Because Produce Buzz podcast fans, it's time for the Chinese New Year celebrations to begin. So today we welcome back a very honored guest on the show, Robert Schueller. Robert is going to tell us about his favorite Asian fruits and veggies today, and we will talk about how some of them are used in the Chinese New Year celebrations. But first, a little bit about the history and meaning of Chinese New Year. The Chinese calendar is based primarily on the phases of the moon, which is why this celebration is also called the Lunar New Year. The New Year usually begins on the second new moon after the winter solstice. This year, it begins on January 22nd and ends on February 5th. The last day is the Lantern Festival and is celebrated primarily to honor deceased ancestors, but it's also celebrated as a time to promote reconciliation, peace, and forgiveness. The lanterns are symbolic of several things. It is a light that will guide the people in the new year. It is a light to honor their ancestors. And at the end of the festival, lanterns are released into the air like tiny hot air balloons to symbolize letting go of the past year and welcoming in the new year. It's believed that the Chinese have celebrated the new year for over 3,500 years, but the first reference to it came from a Chinese agronomist during the Han Dynasty named Cui Shi. He wrote a book on agriculture called Simin Yeuling sometime during the 2nd century AD. Simin Yeuling, or as it's translated, monthly instructions for 4 classes of people, is widely regarded as one of the oldest agricultural texts produced in the world. Today, it is still deemed an important source for studies. The title of the book indicates that Cui followed the prevailing practice of dividing all the people into 4 classes: scholar bureaucrats, peasants, craftsmen, and traders. Scholar bureaucrats were part of the ruling class, and since only the sons of the rich or government official had the opportunity to receive schooling, the term later came to be used generally to mean male scholars. The contents of Cui's book can roughly be divided into 9 parts, which I won't list all of them, but chief among them were planting and reaping crops and vegetables according to the season, processing foods and brewing, winemaking, gathering wild fruit, plants, and herbs. So there was a strong emphasis on fruits and veggies in this early agricultural textbook. Cui's instructions in the book for landowners was to help them optimize production and profit for their farms. The book also focuses on codes of conduct for family members, the education of young people, descriptions of the rituals for ancestor worship, the observation of religious holidays and festival celebrations, hence the references to observing the Lunar New Year. So we salute this man of agriculture, a man who loved fresh fruits and veggies like we do, especially since fruits play such a central role in the Chinese New Year celebrations. And now it's time to turn to our guest today, Robert Schueller of Melissa's Produce, and internationally renowned produce expert. He is going to tell us about some of the most interesting and delicious Asian fruits and veggies and their symbolism and meaning in the Chinese New Year. Welcome to the show again, Robert.
Thank you, Produce Buzzers, for having me on today. Good to see you guys and talk with you here about an exciting part of the year, and that is the annual Lunar New Year, also known as Chinese New Year. Gung Hei Fat Choi is what everybody says, and this is just a celebration of custom. It's a celebration of food, and from a produce perspective, being the largest provider of Asian produce in the United States, it is a big promotion that we've been doing in produce departments across the country for over 2 decades now.
Wow.
Many of the stores are a part of the promotion, and every year there's a symbol. This year is an animal, and this year it is the year of the rabbit. So if you were born in 1927, 39, 51, 63, 75, 87, 99, and 2011, of course, this year, 2013, you are the rabbit. And the rabbit is a representation of kindness, courage, and strength. That you didn't know.
I'm a rabbit. Yay, I'm the rabbit.
Oh, great. It's your year.
Awesome.
So kindness. What was it? Kindness?
The representations are kindness, courage, and strength.
Wow. You don't typically think of rabbits as strong, but I guess they can be in some ways. Anyway, well, that's fascinating. And Melissa's is the largest seller of Asian produce or fruits and vegetables in the United States. That's interesting.
Yeah, we have over 75 different varieties of fruits and vegetables. And one thing that I want to teach you about is in the Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year tradition, there is a lot of symbolism behind these different produce items. So I'm going to talk about a few and what they mean. And so a lot of these ingredients that I discuss are used for the meals during that time. Again, the Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year starts on, it's different every year because it's on a lunar calendar, January 22nd, 2023, and it goes about 15 days. So you can celebrate it as it is in all of Asia. In China, it's Chinese New Year. In Vietnam, it's Tet. In Korea, it's Sonal. In Tibet, it's a spring festival. So they have different names for the same Lunar New Year. So one of the big things is a citrus within the fruit category for preparing foods with this. An example would be like those little citrus kumquats. Now, the kumquats, they symbolize prosperity, like gold pieces. And one of the traditions that is used during Lunar New Year is given as gifts are these red envelopes where kids receive these red envelopes, or people are given red envelopes with money inside. So that's why a lot of these foods are symbolic and used within the meals during the Chinese New Year time. Another citrus variety that is unusual and is becoming more familiar is called the Buddha's hand citron. It is a citrus that looks like, I would say, looks like an octopus. It has no fruit on the inside. It's all pithy. So you're thinking, well, how do you use it from a culinary perspective? If you go to our website, melissas.com, you'll see what a Buddha's hand looks like if you've never seen one before. Very unusual. It starts growing like a grapefruit, and all of a sudden, these fingers grow out of the citrus, and that's why it looks like what I say. It kind of looks like an octopus on this fruit. But from a culinary perspective, it is given as a gift for good luck and good fortune, and that's the main reason that it's symbolic of good luck and good fortune for the year. And it is actually used from a culinary perspective for its peel. I don't know any citrus that has a stronger zest and peel to it than any other citrus variety.
Yeah, I've experienced that too. It really is very strong, very flavorful.
Yes.
But kind of lemony. It's kind of a lemon flavor, isn't it? A lemon or at least
lemon, grapefruit, little lime, but extremely a strong citrus aroma to it. And a lot of bakers like to use it for its peel, because there is no citrusy fruit on the inside. It's all pit. So
right.
you basically only use the skin from the culinary perspective there. One other citrus variety, and those are mandarins, which we know here in the United States as tangerines, because we like our seedless. So tangerines are what we're most known for. And that, again, is a representation of wealth. So a lot of times when you go over to celebrate a Chinese New Year lunch or dinner or whatever like that, you bring with you gifts, and a lot of times it's produce. So those are just 3 examples of some of the many other ones that I'd be more than happy to talk about as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, you should if you've not seen a Budazan, listeners, you should go to melissas.com and check it out. It's really a strange looking fruit. And if you have a chance to try one, you should. One of those, I've had one before. I couldn't use it all up though. It's very difficult to use it all up unless you're really baking or making a lot of something, because it can be used in place of zest, right? Like lemon zest or lime zest.
Exactly. It can be substituted for any citrus zest that is used in a dish or baking.
Yeah. Could it be candied? You know how, like, sometimes, I have made candied oranges before, and you leave the rind on when you do that.
Definitely. You can use a peeler. It has, the citrus has long, what I call fingers, and you can get nice long strips and candy them like jelly worms or something like that. So you could do something really spectacular with them,
right?
Because typically the season starts in September, October, right before Halloween. So they're popular for Halloween. But the reason why we've had them and now growing them in mainly California is for the popularity leading up to Chinese New Year.
Right.
Yeah.
And the mandarins, here's something I read today, kind of doing a little research, that I think it probably still is a custom, but at one time, the women who were looking for a husband would write a message on a mandarin and throw it in the river and hope that it would flow down, and some handsome young probably wealthy man found it and would then get in touch. That was just something else. But you said they are a symbol of wealth, or kind of a promise of wealth, perhaps, if you give it to someone. So that's interesting.
I actually found a Buddha's hand growing in Denver 2 years ago.
Well, they're not known for growing there, but take care of the plant really well. Make sure you bring it inside during the winter months. You never know. So
that's where it was. I was at the Denver Arboretum, and they had a whole section that particular month. I think it was in January, about citrus, and they had several citrus varieties growing on trees inside.
In a greenhouse, not outside on the mountainside. Huge greenhouse.
Oh, awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, do you also sell fresh citron?
Well, Buddha's hand is a variety of citron. There's also the other one that's used in Jewish traditions. So citron is a type of citrus that doesn't have flesh on the inside. It's used for its peel. And the other variety of citron that we do have seasonally is called an etrog. And an etrog is a fruit that has symbolism in the Jewish faith around the holiday season and leading up to their main holiday, Rosh Hashanah, which is in about September, early October. And that's about the only time we get them. But of the two, the Buddhist hand is definitely more popular. The season starts in September, early October, and goes until about late January to early February. So
yeah, very good.
Okay.
So other than citrus fruits, what else is featured? Do the Chinese like at New Year's celebrations?
Coconut is very popular where
Oh.
it's used for the water or for the meat, or when you combine and cook and put together the milk using the flesh and the water of the coconut. But the coconut in itself symbolizes togetherness for a family. So coconuts is a very prominent thing that is used in cooking. Another subcategory of a fruit, peanuts. And peanuts are used in a lot of the dishes, and they symbolize long life. So with that, probably the most common is the use of different varieties of Asian noodles. So the longer, like Chinese long noodle, yakisoba, udon, which they're smaller noodle, but they say the longer the noodle, the longer your life on this earth will be. So those foods all play in role. And a lot of these foods that I talk about are intertwined in the recipe, whether it's like a soup, a stew, a side dish, or even part of the main dish. Let me give you some examples of some of the vegetables that have symbolism behind them as well. Green onions, scallions, same thing, symbolize brilliance and intelligence. So everybody's got to eat more green onions, right, during the time.
I love them. How come I'm not smart? I don't know.
Yeah. So, a lot of the vegetables also symbolize like the citrus that I was talking about prosperity and gold and wealth. Lettuce. There's so many different varieties of lettuce, and there's cabbages, like bok choy, baby bok choy, gailan, gai choy, all these different leafy greens. They have a symbolism for wealth. Specifically, the Chinese broccoli, which I refer to as gailan, it encourages youth and wealth, and also mushrooms. There's so many different varieties of mushrooms. Mushrooms are well revered and used predominantly a lot in Asian cooking. And the mushrooms represent coins signifying riches and prosperity as well.
Yeah.
So those are some of the examples of the symbolism behind these fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. In some of the Asian markets in LA area, you go in and they have huge sections of mushrooms that just so many types and bizarre shapes and and everything, and they can be pretty expensive too. But that's quite an experience to go into a mushroom section in an Asian grocery store because there's so many. Of course, they use a lot of them medicinally. They're not all for eating, but it is amazing. But that's interesting. I didn't realize that was part of the New Year's celebration. I knew they had them. Any more vegetables?
The Asian vegetable category, the leafy greens are one, the most difficult to understand. Two, the name of them is a little intimidating for people who are not familiar with all the different varieties. Most people are familiar with like bok choy and baby bok choy and Napa cabbage, daikon, which is the big white radish. Yeah. But there's all these other exciting varieties of leafy greens. And, there's an educational process on this because a lot of them retain the original name. And so, pronouncing them becomes difficult. And then after a while, after looking at all these, like gai choy and yo choy and Shanghai bok choy, they're hard to pronounce and they look so familiar. There's confusion there. But Melissa's Produce always has education on their website to get you to understand and become more familiar with these different vegetables on their website. So I invite anybody to come to our website at melissas.com and learn how they differ and how they are being used. I mean, I know so many times I go to a Chinese restaurant or a Japanese restaurant or an Asian themed restaurant, and a lot of times you don't know the vegetables that you're actually eating. You just enjoy it as, either dining in or takeout, and you order it all the time because you never know how to do it yourself. Melissa makes it really easy to learn these different varieties. So, one thing coming up, if you've never cooked with a lot of Asian vegetables, this is a great time because your produce departments are going to have a wealth of information. Our company has, for the next few weeks in a lot of the stores, promotions in regards to and educational pieces on how to prepare and cook for the Chinese New Year. In fact, if you go to our website, melissa.com, we have seasonal recipe menus. There's actually a section that's dedicated to the Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year. So click on there and you will run into many recipes that you probably enjoyed at your favorite Asian restaurant. And the recipes there for you to start learning and doing them at home.
Great. And what about your books on fresh produce? I'm sure that you feature in the Melissa's great book of produce. Do you have a lot of the Asian varieties in there?
Oh, most definitely. And beyond, from like Chinese okra to Chinese eggplant to Japanese eggplant, how you know the difference, which is the color mainly, from Chinese long bean to edamame. Our company is known for our ginger and turmeric, which are both used in many of the Lunar New Year recipes. And one of the things is a great introduction into cooking more with Asian vegetables is using wonton wrappers and egg roll wrappers, where you take the vegetables and you roll them up. It's such a trendy thing now for those who celebrate Chinese New Year around that time. As a part of the dish and menu and whatnot. And again, Melissa tries to make it really easy. So go to our website, check it out. If you're following at Melissa's Produce, you'll be able to go to a lot of our social media. We're really talking about cooking Asian produce for the Lunar New Year coming up there. In fact, one of our good chef friends, a celebrity chef, his name is Chef Jet Tila. You probably possibly have seen him on the TV Food Network. If you get onto our website or get into our social media, you can actually win a free online class with them. We're taking 10 winners, and they're going to do a online cooking class with Chef Jet Tila. He does many of the shows that you see on the TV Food Network, Iron Chefs to Cutthroat Kitchen to Guy's Grocery Games. So he's just a great representation, as he's very much known, for his 2 cookbooks so far on Asian cooking, specifically Chinese. He also does Japanese, Thai, Vietnamese, but he's kind of a really well-known chef for teaching the art of Asian produce in America.
That's great. So they can register for that on melissas.com.
Yes, or you'll be able to see a lot of the signage when you go into your local produce departments. Our distribution of our products are national. So in most major supermarkets across the country, you'll be reading about how to cook with it. You'll be reading about the contest, and how easy it is to make wontons or egg rolls at home. I know it's so intimidating because people think that they need to have a deep fryer to be able to do that, but that's not the case. You can bake them. You don't necessarily have to have a deep fryer to make wontons and egg rolls. So you're going to learn a little bit more. This is our great time to talk about, the 75 different varieties of Asian fruits and vegetables. Many of them have symbolism behind them, and how you can, how this Lunar New Year has become an Americanized holiday. I know throughout the United States, especially on the West Coast, like in San Francisco and LA to New York, that there's a lot of Lunar New Year celebrations and parades that happen because, again, this has become now an Americanized holiday. of the Asian culture and customs.
Yeah, those are some beautiful celebrations too. Back to those wontons and egg rolls, air fryer probably, right? Would that work for them?
That's another way, and that's been a very popular way in regards to a different type of cooking method.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is the recipe for the baked or the air fried egg roll on your website?
Correct.
Okay.
All you would have to do to go to our site, melissas.com, go into the search and put in egg roll or put in wonton, and it will direct you to a slew of recipes and the cooking styles that are used there.
Okay.
Fantastic. Okay, back to television for a bit. You sent us an announcement yesterday that was very exciting. A new television or a new show on Netflix, correct? Tell us about that.
Yes, a little different from Lunar New Year. Melissa's has been known for getting produce featured on many cooking shows and events, and Netflix just spun their newest reality cooking show. It's called Pressure Cooker. It's on Netflix now. You just have to search it, or it will come up in the cooking food section there. Hopefully it'll be trending. But Melissa's provided all the produce for this cooking show. Basically, in a nutshell, they have 11 aspiring chefs. They all have to actually live together. It's kind of like a Big Brother meets like Cutthroat Kitchen. So it's an interesting concept. There's some drama, as you would in most cooking competition shows. And, when you're watching, you'll see many of the produce boxes and packages that they're cooking with have our logo. The Melissa's with the I in Melissa is the carrot. Look for that. And, just another great way in getting people to get excited about food and learn about cooking. So.
Now, Robert, isn't that funny that you were saying that the drama in cooking reality shows, and I was thinking, oh gosh, the drama of living with 10 other people, with that.
Especially chefs who can be pretty.
Yeah, they each have their own style and personality, but it's a great show. There's 8 episodes. That's the neat thing about like Netflix on this show. You know how a lot of shows you have to wait until, they play a couple of the seasons and then a couple of the episodes and they have to wait a year. No, all 8 episodes. If you wanted to binge watch it for the next 14 hours, you can. Just go to Netflix, put in Pressure Cooker, and learn all about this new reality show that's happening on Netflix. So there you go.
Okay, so it's there now for watching. It's not something that's coming. It's there.
It's there. It just went live on the 6th.
Now there was one of the.
I'm sorry.
No, you go
What
ahead.
type of food binging would you recommend to go along with the binge watching?
Hey, I like watching and eating. Cooking is just another secondary fun part about the whole cooking thing around it. But the thing is every time I watch these shows, I get so hungry. So I should keep my TV when I'm watching these shows in the kitchen and just cook along with it at the same time.
Do you find that they have different techniques or just a little something that you might notice that you're like, oh my God, that saves you so much time, or something like that? Do they show like the specific like people with their hands in it that you could pick up, that type of details? Yeah,
you can get a lot of details on how they peel an onion or peel a shallot or something like that. I get a lot of great tips. It's hard to like be able to recreate that recipe because they don't. But one thing is the way in which they fuse the different flavors and use them. That's where you get some new ideas, because I'm the chef at home. I'm the cooker at home. I am not a baker. So watching a show and then incorporating those ideas, because I don't need to look at a recipe to be able to figure out the flavor profiles. That's that type of style that I am in regards to cooking. But when you're doing baking, you need the directions. You need, how many
The
tablespoons of salt,
science,
because
exactly.
it is the science. And so
Mhm.
my wife is the baker of the family and I'm the cooker. So I
Oh,
like to
very
do a lot of
nice.
improvisations, and that is what Pressure Cooker on Netflix is all about.
Yeah. Cynthia is a very good baker. She sent me some cookies
I'm a frustrated
and
baker.
some bread. Nice. Yeah. So there was one fruit you had in your list of things to talk about that you sent ahead of time called a longan. That's
Yes.
for Chinese New Year. I don't think you mentioned that, and I don't think I've heard of those before. At least I didn't remember hearing of them.
Okay, so I think that most of you are familiar with the lychee.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It is a cousin of the lychee, and it's a cousin of the rambutan.
Okay.
Those three fruits they're more popular in one part of Asia over another. In China, lychees are the most popular.
Okay.
They also do have rambutan, which are more popular in like Thailand, and they have longans, the longan, or what they call the longan berry, which is the smallest of the three. They're all round. It looks like a little marble, and you peel it like a hard-boiled egg, as you would the lychee, the rambutan, to get into the succulent flesh. They're also called dragon eyes, and they're popular in Vietnam, as well as in China. I just didn't mention it because right now we don't have longans, but we do have rambutans and lychees, ironically.
Right.
But the longans, yes.
Sorry, do they taste all about the same, or is there quite a difference in the flavor?
Well, if they taste exactly the same, there wouldn't be a market for it.
Yeah, that's right.
The longans, they have a more gelatinous flesh, more like Jello, and they're not as they're more concentrated sweet, but they're not as moist as the lychee or the rambutan.
Okay.
So
Can you spell that
they're
for
different. Longan, Longan.
Yeah.
And then in the Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year, they symbolize many good sons.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you cook those, or do you just peel them and eat
No,
them?
you peel it just like you would a lychee or rambutan and pop the fruit into your mouth there.
And
I
does it
know
have
they
a
make sauces
seed?
with it. Yes, it has a dark black hard seed in the middle.
Yeah. So does the lychee and the rambutan too.
And the
right?
rambutan, yeah. So
Very good. Okay.
Do they use Chinese gooseberries in the New Year?
They used to call kiwi fruit Chinese gooseberries. That at one time
When they first started importing.
yeah, you're right. That was
Yeah.
another name for it. Kiwis do grow in Asia as well, and they are popular. But as far as I know, the kiwi doesn't have any representation of use in Chinese New Year. I don't know if it's that popular, as are a lot of the citrus varieties and stuff like that.
Do you know what the Chinese name is for kiwi fruit? I studied Chinese. I spent 2 summers in China when I was in university.
Go for it. What is it?
It's miho tao, which means literally monkey peach.
Monkey peach. Okay.
And
they
you can
grew
kind of
wild.
understand.
Yeah, they grew wild in China. That's where the New Zealander who began cultivating them in New Zealand got the clippings for them, but the monkeys ate them, and and they really loved them. That's why it got that name.
Yeah.
I was a little bit afraid when you go there called monkeys.
Well, I know the kiwi is named after the country's bird, the flightless bird, the kiwi.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know how popular they are in Asia or China. So, and another name for, a long time ago, the Chinese gooseberry, before it was brought into the United States, back in the 70s, where the name was known as kiwi here in the United States back in the early 70s. So, interesting.
So somebody was just trying desperately to get kiwi going. Whatever it was attached to, they just wanted that little quick word.
And that is an American, that's an Americanized name as well. The New Zealanders did not come up with that name.
Yes, yes,
Americanized.
correct.
Yeah, but don't you
Okay.
call a person from New Zealand a Kiwi? Or are we the only ones that call them a Kiwi?
Good question.
I think you are the only one that does.
Specifically, you're the only one.
I don't know if they
Robert-
like that.
Yeah. Okay.
It
Oh.
probably won't be the worst thing they wouldn't like out of my mouth. But Robert, what about Asian pears, which might not be for Chinese New Year?
No,
Why
they
haven't
are.
I seen? Oh, they are. I have not seen
Yes.
them.
Yes, we do. Well, there's many different varieties that are available. The Asian pear, they also call them apple pears, the yaw pears, and one of the ones that we're really known for because they get really large are
Mhm.
the butterscotch pears. And
Right.
you know, they're popular all over Asia. The butterscotch pears actually come from South Korea, and they're very large fruit. I'm
I
not
should
sure why
check
you're
a
not
different
seeing them.
retailer, if you know what I mean. Here on the East Coast?
Definitely.
Yeah,
We-
because
we- we-
generally I do see them, and I wanted to make I wanted to try to make some kimchi, and the recipe said that, you know, if I couldn't find an Asian pear, that I should just throw a Granny Smith in there.
I didn't know
Granny
kimchi
Smith apple.
was made with that.
I can
That's
see that.
interesting.
I can see that an apple substitute would work. But
Is it
Asian
for
pear is
the-
actually in the pear family, so it has a pear flavor. It just has the crispness of an apple.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
right.
if
We
it's
used to
kimchi,
say it was crunch and juice because it just turns to juice in your mouth after you bite into it. It's really,
did you do
Right.
some marketing work for the Asian pears, Teresa?
we did. Yeah.
Ah.
Mhm.
I'd forgotten
Yep.
about that. Yeah, interesting. Well, since kimchi is Korean, you should be
Mhm.
using the butterscotch pears, Cynthia.
I know, but well, first of all, I'm not Chinese or Korean, but I would have.
No, but you're
ordinarily-
making a Korean dish. I
I
wasn't
know,
saying
I
you were.
know. And it just looked really, I don't want to buy a prepared one. So I just figured I would just try my hand at it, just for the bio gut health. But it didn't look too crazy difficult.
Yeah.
And
Just don't try to take it on an airplane. Durian is outlawed in a lot of airports because it smells so bad.
And that in kimchi.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So are there,
Actually,
go ahead.
actually, you're not supposed to bring any fruits and vegetables on a
Yeah.
flight when you're cross country anyway.
That's
They're
true.
Really strict when you're coming into America, because possibly there's a little bug, something in the fruit. Because you usually in customs, you have to declare if you have any fruits or vegetables with you. So,
Right. I remember I was coming back in flight from Europe a few years ago, and I had bought an apple in a market before I left, and I had stuffed it in my bag, and I completely forgot about it. When I arrived in Los Angeles, these dogs were sniffing, and they came up and were sniffing. And I thought I had just been in the Netherlands as well, which is very famous for.
you're having a flashback of like Midnight
Well,
Express.
I knew I had never bought any drugs, but suddenly this dog is all over me, and I'm thinking, man, somebody must have stuffed some cocaine or some kind of drugs in my bag.
oh my gosh.
But the
Man,
dog
what-
was trying to
what-
sniff out fruit.
what
And he
loser-
got that apple.
What loser doesn't know that, like, the dogs are going to be here? I can't wait to see this idiot get
Yeah.
busted.
Right. But that dog was
Oh, yeah.
not trained to sniff drugs. He was trained to sniff fruit.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he
They
could
do
have
that
sniffed
with-
drugs, but
They-
the officer that was
uh-huh.
with him said no. He's trained specifically to sniff out fruit.
So the only dogs were there were to sniff out any fruit, but nothing else.
Well, that's the only dog I saw. But as soon as I got into the area, you go through passport control first, and then you go into the
Right.
area where you get your bags, and that's when the dog was on me
Yeah.
very quickly. it's pretty
So, yeah.
scary.
So another dog is there. He's over there sniffing for drugs. This guy is over here sniffing for, ammunition.
Right.
In
Okay.
California, is marijuana considered a vegetable?
Not sure. It is a leafy green.
You can cook with it. You
but
can make
you
brownies.
don't find it in the produce markets. I it's probably found at farmers markets there, so they kind of keep a lower profile.
You can probably
than
get it at the
supermarkets.
farmer's market.
You can't get it at melissas.com.
No, unfortunately, we don't do any of those products.
It is an herb, however.
Yes, it's in the herb family.
Yeah. It's the
I get that
wildwood
if
flower.
we do tobacco items too, which we don't as well.
Yeah, that's
we
good.
we do over 15 different. Melissa's does over 1,500 different varieties of fruits and vegetables. That's a lot of fruits and vegetables, but
Yeah.
those items in particular, no, they're not on our list.
Because you're clean living.
Very good. Okay. Any other fruits or veggies for Chinese New Year, or just Asian in general that you want to talk about that might fit into the discussion?
Oh, I say this is a great time of the year to be able to get educated on many Asian dishes. I mean, beyond the produce department, a lot of the stores do incorporate the Lunar New Year promotion, whether it's in grocery, like in the noodles or the sauces. It could be a lot in the liqueurs and drinks and whatnot. And just a great way to celebrate what, billions of people celebrate in Asia every year. In fact, during the time of the Lunar New Year, January 22nd to February 5th, we get very few imports from Asia because of the fact that everybody takes holiday. I'd love to be able to incorporate Lunar New Year for 15 days off here in America. I just don't know how to make that happen.
Well, because it's a big holiday. They're taking the time off.
Huge holiday. Everybody's taking time off. So.
Right. Very good.
Well, I mean, everybody takes off for Christmas, whether you celebrate it or not. So
That's
yeah, I
one
think
day.
it would be turnaround is fair play, if the
Yeah, but what he's saying
I
is
think,
for them, it's 2 weeks.
no,
Yeah,
I
it's
know. Yes, we have to
15-day
figure this
holiday.
out. Yeah.
Legal holiday. So yes, so we are deprived of produce. So we really bunch up. See, the thing is that a lot of the Asian produce does not have to be imported into the United States. There's some fruits like butterscotch pears that we get from South Korea. There's like lotus root and some ginger that we get, but we grow a lot of believe it or not, a lot of the Asian produce is grown in California. And if there's a shortage there, we can look to our bordering countries like Mexico to be able to get these products. So unfortunately, there's not a large blip in the produce logistics just because of the big legal holiday that is important to those in the Asian culture.
Oh, that's good to know.
I have another question.
Okay.
How do pomelos fit into the picture?
Again, citrus, huge. Pomelos, oro blancos, they're you're talking about the largest of all grapefruit varieties. Extremely popular for Chinese New Year. All the citrus fruit, they all have symbolism behind them. And pomelo is like one of the more popular items, just as the tangerines, the mandarins, and the kumquats. They're up there, and the Buddhist hand. So the large grapefruit are given as gifts for good luck and good fortune during the Lunar New Year as well.
Okay.
Those pomelos are usually sweeter than grapefruit, I think. So that's
sweet. They're pink fleshed. You can actually segment them. I love segmenting them and then actually peeling the skin off. They're one of my favorite grapefruit varieties because there's so many different varieties that are available right now. However, they are seasonal. You don't find them year round, not yet anyway. The season starts in October and usually they finish up by March. So they're only available in the Lunar New Year time period as well. So.
And that's segmenting and then being able to peel that skin. When you get that skin off, that's where the bitterness usually comes from in a grapefruit, right? So if you peel that skin off, you get.
I like peeling the skin off, but people eat them, because they they peel kind of like a navel orange. And you know, they're just so succulent because I segment them like a tangerine, but then you can peel the extra layers of the skin off the actual fruit contained within. So I guess it just depends on its use, but the pomelo, the oro blanco, and the mellow gold, which are all related to each other, the pomelo is the most popular for Lunar New Year, are peelable ones. And I think they're more sweet than they are sour compared to some of the other grapefruit varieties that are available to us.
Yeah, my neighbor in California had an Oro Blanco tree in his backyard, and he used to give them away. He would, when they were really coming off the tree, he'd pile them up in a wheelbarrow and just set them out on the street, and people put a sign "free." Those were some of the sweetest grapefruit I've ever had. I think they even beat some of the Texas sweet grapefruit, in my opinion.
They do. They are sweet.
Use the pomelo skin like a booze hand, or is it too bitter?
No, it could be used for its peel as well and rind, but it's not as popular. It could be candied. So in the Asian culture, you know, there's not a lot of waste. Everything is used in fruits and vegetables in some type of application. So they do candy the peel, but here in the United States, we usually just peel it and put it in our green bin there. But in Asian culture, a lot of everything is used. Probably less the seeds. The seeds are rock hard. You wouldn't want to eat those. But other than that, you know, very sustainable fruit because you use the skin and the flesh on the grapefruits.
Okay,
fantastic. Well, this has been fascinating. Thank you for educating us about Chinese New Year, Teresa.
I have a
homegrown. Robert, you should have hung up earlier. You're gonna have to sit through a homegrown. One of her bad puns. Okay, here we go. Let me make sure that Robert was finished if he had any more to offer us.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm ready to field any questions you guys have.
All right.
Shoot,
well,
Teresa.
thanks very much. We're going to do what we call the homegrown, one of her bad puns. So you have to groan. Okay, here, I'll introduce it. Okay, Produce Buzzers podcast fans, it's time for your favorite segment on the Produce Buzzers podcast. Yes, it's time for homegrown. Yes, it's time for one of Teresa's bad puns. So stick around and get punished. Teresa, what's the homegrown of today?
Well, at the beginning of the segment, Robert had a Chinese greeting. I'd like for him to say it again.
Sure. Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year translation is Gung Hei Fat Choi.
I'm going to let everyone translate that. Please translate that.
Okay, what was it again? Okay. Gung
Hei Fat Choi.
Gung Hei Fat Choi.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to do with eating too much food because you're fat.
How about Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras?
Okay, Rick, you got one?
I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. You're asking me to translate
it? Translate what Robert said, yeah.
And this is a pun translation, not the real.
Yeah, just give me a translation, yeah.
Oh, boy. I can't think of anything. I'm sorry.
Did you hear her say Fat Chance, Fat Choi?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking that since this is the year of the rabbit, he's saying Happy New Year.
Oh, boy. It's getting bad. Happy.
You must have made that one up. You made that up.
Sounds made up.
Doesn't it sound like I did?
That's very good. Sorry you had to sit through that, Robert. It's amazing you keep coming back.
That was funny there. I enjoyed that. Thank you, Teresa.
You're so
okay.
welcome.
Well, thanks again, Robert. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
And I hope you have some great Chinese New Year's celebrations.
Take care. Anytime you guys want to chat produce there, you know I'm your man.
Man, you're setting yourself up. We like to have you. All right.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Robert. Bye.
Take care. Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning in to the Produce Buzzers podcast, brought to you by Produce Buzz, the gathering place for lovers of fresh fruits and veggies. We hope you were entertained a bit and educated a lot about fresh produce. Be sure to join us next time, and please tell your friends to do so as well. Like, share, and comment on our Produce Buzz Facebook page, and check out our website at www.producebuzz.com. There you will find articles about fresh fruits and veggies, how to select, store, and prepare them, as well as lots of interesting facts about all the wonderful bounty the earth provides for us. Until next time, be fruitful and don't forget to veg out.